Thousands of people have taken part in a far-right protest in central London this afternoon, led by activist Tommy Robinson. There's also been an anti-racist counter-protest nearby. Well, Sky's Martin Brunt joins me now. So, Martin, we've had these two rallies in London, not sort of, it was made sure that they wouldn't meet necessarily, but how have things gone so far?
3 police officers were injured during a demonstration in Westminster, organised by the Solidarity Campaign and other groups. One officer suffered a serious facial injury after she was hit with a bottle thrown from within the crowd, the Metropolitan Police said. The Met reported that the suspect had not yet been identified, but that police were investigating.
Patriots, Europe is sick, and it's happening in Great Britain. Okay? Get your people organised, unify your countries. Enough is enough. The line in the sand has been drawn. We're being replaced no longer.
In total, 40 arrests were made in relation to assaults on emergency workers, obstruction of the highway and breaches of the Public Order Act, the force said. The protest began in Whitehall at 18 o'clock BST and was due to end 2 hours later. The police stated that the vast majority of protesters, numbering between 8,000 and 10,000 people, left without incident at the scheduled time. However, a group of about 500 remained and continued to protest. The Met noted that some of these individuals resisted arrest, requiring officers to use force to remove them from the crowd. A breakaway march then made its way to Bridge Street outside Westminster Station, where police put cordons in place. Officers entered the crowd shortly before afternoon to arrest those suspected of leading the breakaway protest. The Solidarity Campaign said it had organised the emergency march to reiterate calls for a ceasefire following an airstrike and resulting fire that killed at least 45 people on Sunday. The demonstration was intended to draw attention to the ongoing conflict and the need for immediate action to protect civilians.
I am here as the son of a Holocaust survivor to make it clear to the British government and to others in power that those of us who are descended from Holocaust survivors, or certainly some of us, are very much against the genocide that they are committing in Gaza as we speak.
As as a mother, I am really distressed at seeing the amount of children that have been killed and mothers. 70% of those who are killed are women and children. So it's really, really distresses me.
Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you! Shame on you!
As the protest began, the atmosphere was charged with tension. Protesters carried banners and chanted slogans, calling for an end to the violence and expressing solidarity with the affected people. The organisers had planned the demonstration as a peaceful march, hoping to send a strong message to the international community. Despite the initial peaceful intentions, the situation began to escalate as the evening wore on. The large crowd, fueled by passionate speeches and chants, became more restless. The police presence, while significant, struggled to manage the growing agitation among some of the protesters.
As a Holocaust survivor, I'm protesting against the misuse and weaponizing of the memory of the Holocaust. The misuse as a cover for the current genocide by the Israeli government. And I am here partly to demonstrate that not all Jews, in fact, probably the majority of Jews, do not support that.
The box, please. Can you clear the box, please? Stop arming Israel! Stop arming Israel! Stop arming Israel! We want sanctions! Free! Free! Palestine! Free! Free! Palestine! Palestine will live forever! In our thousands, in our millions! We are all Palestinians! In our millions! We are all Palestinians! Free! Free! Palestine! What do we want? Ceasefire!
I am here as the son of a Holocaust survivor to make it clear to the British government and to others in power that those of us who are descended from Holocaust survivors, or certainly some of us, are very much against the genocide that they are committing in Gaza as we speak.
Showing solidarity with the people of Gaza, people of Palestine, who have experienced 6 months of besiegement, bombing. As a mother, I am really distressed at seeing the amount of children that have been killed and mothers. 70% of those who are killed are women and children. So it's really, really distresses me.
I think it's really important that we show solidarity with Gazans and the Palestinian people. What's happening right now is genocide, and the UN are kind of saying there's a distinct plausibility that that's the case. It's just outrageous that we're still, the UK and the US is still arming Israel and supplying funds for these bombs that are just killing tens of thousands of Palestinian lives, and especially children. 15,000 kids killed to date, I believe.
Around morning, tensions reached a boiling point when a bottle was thrown from the crowd, striking a female police officer in the face. The officer fell to the ground and her colleagues rushed to her aid. The incident immediately heightened the sense of urgency among the police, who began to prepare for potential further violence. As word of the injured officer spread through the crowd, the atmosphere grew more hostile. Some protesters, angered by the police response, began to push back against the barriers set up to contain the demonstration. The police, in turn, formed a tighter cordon around the protest area, ready to respond to any further incidents. By 20 o'clock BST, the scheduled end time for the protest, the majority of the demonstrators to troubled trials began to disperse as planned. However, a core group of about 500 protesters remained, refusing to leave the area. These individuals, determined to continue their demonstration, clashed with police as officers attempted to clear the streets.
Foreign peoples must not be allowed to access them. Foreign people must not be allowed our benefits.
Thousands of British patriots gathered to protest in central London today, Saturday.
Right, listen, we are now a family, a community. That's what we are. We are the people that stand against those who wish to suppress free speech.
You don't have to support us, but stop lying about us, okay? It's frustrating.
The Unity rally, organised and led by Tommy Robinson, took place from the Royal Courts of Justice to Trafalgar Square. Thousands of protesters who descended on central London with chants of "We want our country back, no extremism in the UK, no racism," could be seen waving UK flags and singing songs. Cries of "Rule Britannia" were heard before the event, which Robinson has said will be the biggest patriotic rally the UK has ever seen. Some 1,000 Met police officers were deployed to monitor the event, which sparked a counter-demonstration by Jeremy Corbyn's Peace Justice group, Stand Up to Racism, among others. In this video, we will tell you everything that happened in the march to unite all British patriots against racism, extremism and hate preaching. So if you've not already, subscribe to our channel and ring the bell for upcoming updates. Now, pay close attention. The Uniting the Kingdom event, which has been billed as a patriotic rally, has seen people gather on the Strand before marching to Trafalgar Square. There was a sea of British, English, Scottish and Welsh flags, as well as people waving symbols of Israel, the former Shah of Iran and the military heraldry. All British Patriots protesters held placards that read "Not far right, just right," while a red flare was let off. The crowd, which includes actor-turned-political activist Laurence Fox, was seen chanting "England, England, 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 England till I die" as they set off on the march. Speaking on a live stream as thousands of people gathered outside the Royal Courts of Justice, Robinson said a line in the sand has been drawn. He said, "This is the biggest gathering of patriots Europe has seen, and it's happening in Great Britain. Get your people organised, unify your countries. Enough is enough. A line in the sand has been drawn. We're being replaced no longer." There were also some anti-Islamic chants from marchers as they walked along the Strand to Trafalgar Square. When they reach the historic venue, there will be speeches from the likes of Robinson and other members. At the same time, counter-demonstrators are expected to gather for a rally organised by Stand Up to Racism and other groups, including former Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn's Peace Justice project, will take place. That rally will see protesters gather at Russell Square before marching down Embankment to finish at Whitehall, less than 400 metres from the Tommy Robinson event. Police have warned that they will keep members of both protests apart from each other and warned that leaflets claiming the counter-demonstration finishes in Trafalgar Square are incorrect. On X, formerly known as Twitter, the Met wrote some flyers online suggest the Stand Up to Racism march will finish in Trafalgar Square. This isn't the case. There are conditions requiring it to finish in Whitehall. "We need to keep opposing groups apart to keep the peace. We'll take action against any breaches of conditions." Before the march began, protesters heard speeches from trade union officials and former Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn. The Metropolitan Police have flooded central London with 1,000 police officers to keep the peace this afternoon, with a large counter-demonstration by Stand Up to Racism set to take place, as well as a trans pride march, all in the space of 2 miles.
The remaining protesters were adamant in their demands for a ceasefire and an end to the violence. their chants grew louder and the tension between them and the police escalated. As officers moved in to make arrests, some protesters resisted, leading to physical confrontations. The police were forced to use force to subdue the more aggressive protesters, resulting forward in a series of scuffles and arrests. As the breakaway march approached Bridge Street, police quickly set up cordons to contain the crowd. The protesters, undeterred by the increased police presence, continued to chant and wave their banners. The atmosphere remained tense as both sides prepared for a potential confrontation. Shortly before 22 o'clock BST, police moved into the crowd to arrest those suspected of leading the breakaway protest. The arrests were met with resistance as protesters attempted to shield their leaders from the police. The situation grew chaotic, with officers and protesters struggling in the confined space. Solidarity Campaign condemned the violence and reiterated their commitment to peaceful protest. They emphasised that the march was organised to draw attention to the humanitarian crisis and to call for an immediate ceasefire. The organisers expressed their disappointment that the demonstration had been marred by violence and called for a thorough investigation into the incidents. As the night wore on, the police gradually regained control of the situation. By midnight, the majority of the remaining protesters had been dispersed or arrested. The streets of Westminster, which had been filled with the sounds of chanting and confrontation, slowly returned to a tense silence. The injured officer was taken to a nearby hospital for treatment and her condition was reported as stable. The Metropolitan Police confirmed that they were investigating the incident and working to identify the individual responsible for the attack.
On Saturday, thousands turned up on the streets, and this was chock-a-block stuff. This was the second one of these, sort of the people's rally, you want to call it that. More than 1,000 police were deployed to deal with crowds. There were about 9 people arrested. That isn't an awful lot, and I'm not saying that because it's any number is, undesirable. Tommy Robinson himself was arrested, although that was a slightly different issue, and it wasn't at this particular gathering. He's been released on bail. His official X account claims that it was on the basis of anti-terrorism. Let's talk to broadcaster. She's on the team sheet here at Talk. Alex Phillips is with us, who attended there on Saturday. Alex, good afternoon to you.
Hello, good afternoon.
Nice to have you with us. So listen, I mean, you like a march. I know you like a gathering. You're a very social person. Would that be about right when I said at the beginning there, I think people had different reasons for going, but it sort of comes under one umbrella. But people might have had, slightly different passions or tangents as to why they went.
Yeah, I mean, I popped on down there. I was working 1 till 4 on Saturdays, so I popped on down there after work to see what it was all about. And do you know what I saw? I saw a pastiche of real Britain. I saw what life looks like outside the M25. There were people from all corners of the United Kingdom. There were people from all classes of the United Kingdom, and frankly, all creeds, all races. And they were just all gathered there to celebrate their country. And I think to push back on what they feel is a fast rate of change, push back against wokery, voice very real concerns about immigration, things like the scenes that we saw in Hare Hills. People were singing Christian songs. It was awash with flags. I mean, amazing pictures you've got on screen right now. And you can really see what I mean. It was people waving the Union Jack, but also people were waving flags from Israel and flags supporting Ukraine. And these aren't football hooligans. These aren't yobbos. These are just people like my mum and dad, like your next door neighbour, Bob and Jan. These are just ordinary Brits who have all got together because, quite frankly, they're fed up with not being listened to by the political elite.
Yeah, and I think that's the sense. When I said about the world, the country seems to have lost its mind, because I think it is a number of things. Obviously, there is a big contingent of people who are concerned about immigration, and rightly so, because we should be concerned about immigration. We have no rules around people pitching up in a boat, tens of thousands on an annual basis. And even that headline now has become so.
In the aftermath of the protest, both the police and the Solidarity Campaign faced scrutiny. The police were criticised for their handling of the situation, with some accusing them of using excessive force against the protesters. The campaign, meanwhile, was questioned about their ability to control the crowd and prevent the violence that had erupted. The events in Westminster highlighted the deep divisions and intense emotions surrounding the conflict. For many of the protesters, the demonstration was a vital opportunity to voice their anger and frustration at the ongoing violence. For the police, it was a challenging situation that required a delicate balance between maintaining order and respecting the right to protest. As the investigation into the incidents continued, the focus shifted to finding solutions to the underlying issues that had sparked the protest. The call for a ceasefire remained urgent, and the international community faced increasing pressure to take action. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and for more content like this, be sure to subscribe to the channel.